Hello, my loves. How are you? Welcome to episode 25 of The Fire of Grief. It's been quite an interesting journey to be here with you as I've been sharing along the way how grateful I am for this process of being here with you and allowing myself to be very vulnerable. It's not always an easy thing to be vulnerable with oneself, especially when you don't know who is watching that vulnerability. And I suppose that's part of it, part of the opportunity to be transparent with oneself and to open oneself to sharing the experiences that we go through. Because here's the thing that I've come to realize is that initially the experience that we go through is for us. Moving through the experience is what we've learned with the experience, the wisdom gained, and then we share it. When we share our experiences, we heal at a deeper level. And every time I share my experience, I'm healing a little bit more. I don't need to know the how, but I know that there is deep resonance and a sense of reciprocity in the sharing that I do that is touching someplace in me very deeply. And it no longer becomes just my story, but it's all of our stories, all of our collective grief stories. And I think that is the power of sharing stories, power of not keeping it stored within us, because we begin to tap into the collective share story. And the collective share story is we're all human. We all have these fears. We all will experience loss. We all will experience death at some point, and we all will experience grief at some point. That is the collective shared experience that we will all have. And so the opportunity for me to be present with myself, with what comes to the surface, and to share that very openly with you is an amazing experience for me to have. And there are times that I simply come on and I speak. I don't necessarily have something that is prepared from before, but I allow Spirit to guide me through the sessions. And that is actually what I love, because that's also how I teach. That's also how I teach my yoga classes, is that I simply allow whatever wants to come in the moment to arrive. And so I just want to say, we have just a couple of days left in this series. Just want to say thank you. Thank you for those of you that have been showing up and have listened to one or all of the episodes. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for being on the journey. Thank you for showing up for yourself, more importantly. It's nice to have companionship on the journey. Yeah. So it's Saturday. It's a cloudy day here in Charlotte, and it's cold. It's colder than it's been since I've returned. But that's okay too, right? Because we're in the season of fall where leaves are dropping. I like to say that the trees are dropping their underpants. Trees are dropping their leaves. And there's something so profound about witnessing that and talking about grief at the same time, because in grief we're also dropping our leaves. You know, we may not have branches like trees and all these leaves, but we are also going through a metamorphosis as well. And that metamorphosis is the transformational journey that that we're all on. And whereas we can visibly see the changing colors in the leaves, it's hard to see the changing colors within us when we're in the process of shedding. Because this fall and autumn, it's all about shedding. And the shedding happens to prepare in preparation for winter, where things go dormant, or for us, it's about going within, resting more, being still, being quiet, listening. There's deep listening that happens during the winter time. So we decrease the level of doing the way nature does. Nature goes, at least those of us in the northern hemisphere, goes on a little hiatus. And then as spring, you know, all that was dormant, the rest that the trees have had, they're growing in that time, right? It may not seem as if they're growing during winter, but they are. And when spring arrives, you know, trees have blossomed even bigger, they've grown some more. But you don't necessarily see that growth during the winter time. And I just want to remind everyone that the same thing is happening to us. We're also growing. We're also changing our leaves. There's this inner transformation that's happening for us, not to us. Nothing is happening to us. Everything is happening for us. So today I know I briefly mentioned Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's 5 stages of grief, and I don't think she ever intended it to be stages of grief, because as we talked about before, grief is more of a meandering experiences. There's no linear path to the experience or to the process. And even if I say process, it seems as if there's something moving in and something moving out. It's a journey. It's a journey. I like to think more of grief as a journey that we're on for who knows how long. There's no timetable for it. And I feel as long as we have a beating heart, the remnants of those who have come and gone, the remnants of things that we have loved, stays with us. And I think that's a really beautiful thing, right? To have the opportunity to be in remembrance of what was good. What was good, what was true, what was beautiful. And that's not to say that things were perfect. So I'm not trying to elevate things into a standard that omits how things truly were, but merely to point out that having the memories of our loved ones is a beautiful thing to have. For me, that's the honoring of the ancestors, the honoring of those who came before us, who shared their lives with us, and to bring to memory their smile, their laughter, the joy that they brought us. That's all wonderful things. So let's do our embodiment. Exhaling the air out of the mouth, planting your feet firmly on the ground, lengthening your spine, feeling your palms on your thighs, lengthening the back of the neck, bringing your awareness into the present moment. I want to invite you to feel the present moment, to sense it, not with your mind, but with your body and with your awareness. Every in-breath you take, feel and sense now, this now moment. Our mind is not moving towards the future nor the past, but we're right here. We're anchored in the here and now. And notice what you sense and feel in the here and now. Notice your own sense of self. What are you feeling? What are you sensing about you? The state of your body, how you're feeling emotionally, energetically. If we can simply stay the course, to stay right here, to be committed to the now moment. Despite any distractions that might be pulling our attention away from this moment. So let's take 3 cleansing breaths. Take a deep breath in. Exhale through the mouth. Felt good. Inhale. Exhale. And one more time, deep breath in. And deep breath out. I love doing these embodiment exercises. It's also a reset of the moment. And so whenever you feel like your energy is wobbly or scattered, remind yourself that you can do this short embodiment exercise to come back to yourself, to come back to center. So when I was doing death and dying work years ago, some of the work I was doing when I still had my yoga studio and before my husband passed away, there was something so powerful and profound about being with those who were terminal and having the privilege, it's a privilege to watch those who are transitioning, to be a witness to that, to the life and to the death, but also to watch the family and observe the families. Because oftentimes the people who are transitioning, they're ready to go. It's the families that are not ready to let them go. And that makes their passing a little bit more difficult, right? And by difficult, I mean they feel they need to stay in order for their family members to be okay. And so these 5 stages of grief, and I think the 6th one was added, and I'll go through those. A lot of these can be for the family members who are witnessing the transition of a loved one, and or the person who is transitioning with a terminal diagnosis. But I want to say too that this doesn't just have to be about death, right? This could also be about divorce, right? Receiving news that a partner wants a divorce. That's like a death, right? It's like a sudden death. So let's get into it. I'm trying to keep our videos under 20 minutes or just at 20 minutes. So, and again, these are not in order, so I'm just going to share them. Denial. So we get into a place where our nervous system, our mind simply can't accept that death or change has arrived, right? So another word that we can use to interchangeably, that I like to use interchangeably with death, is change. Because death equals change, right? Something or someone is changing and going to another place, right? Sorry about the dogs. So it takes a while for the mind, the nervous system to recalibrate to this change. And so initially, denial is where we are, right? And it's not good, it's not bad, it's just a phase. It's just a place that we land until our system can recalibrate the truth of the moment. Right? And that denial can be stronger for some, less for others. And so much of that also depends on our past experiences, past traumas, our spiritual level. But denial certainly shows up. The next expression is anger. There's anger, whether it's the person experiencing anger over the change or anger over change coming into your life, right? As the person who's supporting, right? And the anger is natural for so many of us. We don't like to express anger, but yet anger is a natural part of being human, and giving ourselves permission to express the anger can also be a catalyst for deeper healing. There is such a thing as sacred rage, right? To be able to express what is so deeply within the body without judgment, and to be able to express it safely in a safe container and sacredly. And women especially sometimes can have trouble expressing anger. I know for me that was the case, but I couldn't hold my anger back during my grieving process. And giving myself permission to bring it up, to activate my throat chakra, was a powerful act. And then we have bargaining. And I think the bargaining is more so for folks who might have just heard a terminal diagnosis, begin to bargain with God, right? Or we're beginning to bargain with our loved ones so to avert the change. And so whether we believe in God or not doesn't matter, but all of a sudden during existential crisis, we begin to bargain with God. God comes back into the story. And you might have a different name for God. It might be the universe, it might be spirit, it might be the great mother, whatever it is, we begin to bargain. We begin to feel into the sense of powerlessness that we feel. And then there's depression. This depression that is rooted in that same sense of powerlessness. Oh, this realization that I'm not in control of any of this. But the depression is also carrying codes. It's a squeezing of the old self. And that too takes time. That too takes time to heal and to work through. And so it's not that the depression is a negative thing. It's the energy of the whole experience working through all aspects of who we are. And then there's acceptance, right? And for so many on the grief journey, acceptance might come years later. It might come at the beginning. It might come in the middle, right? None of these phases are linear. None of them are linear. It took me a long time. I was in denial for a long time. Sometimes I would sit and I'll ask myself the question, did that really happen? Yeah, I mean, I know it's happened. He's not around, right? But in my mind, it was like there was still this denial. And I think it took years to fully accept how everything transpired. But it was when I was ready, not when someone else wanted me to be ready. But I'm not sure if Elizabeth Kubler-Ross added a sixth one to this, but one of the things that I would like to add to this is compassion. Right? It's compassion. How can we bring compassion to the experience? Because death is a natural part of life the same way birth is. And you can probably look at them as the opposites of each other. Or we could even say that the moment we arrive on the planet through birth, we've begun our death experience. And you can say the moment we surrender into death, we're beginning our true birth experience. You can look at both of them that way and see how they fit, both. It's not a straight line. And there's so much to the journey that we don't know until we take our own journey with it to know. We don't really know what our loved ones go through when they're in that space. We have an idea what we see and what we observe, but we can't fully know until we find ourselves there. And so what to do until that time? What to do? And if we are in grief, it's simply walk softly with ourselves. Walk compassionately, tenderly. Admire each expression. It's like coming back into that garden that we spoke about in one of the episodes, that we're gardeners tending to this garden that has all of these beautiful flowers, flower beds. There's even wildflowers in there. And we tend to it lovingly, right? A gardener tends to its garden lovingly. It feels the soil. It goes, she or he goes on her knees and till the soil. Sometimes she'll pull out what's some weeds, clip some of the branches back, prune. This is what we're doing in the grief journey. We're being attentive gardeners to the process. You might get pricked once in a while by a rose bush. It all belongs. Every aspect of it. And there's nothing wrong with you because you're in grief. There's nothing wrong with you because you're sad. And we live in a society where you should be over these things quickly. Go back to work quickly. And not having enough time to feel, to come home to what's present inside. Needs time. And no, we live in a society where we can't take a year off to just be. Right? That's not a luxury many of us have. But to take time out of your day to just sit and create some quiet and stillness for yourself and check in, how am I doing today? What am I feeling today? To feel, to become so human with our sufferings, our pain, our griefs. And to be ever so tender to the changing landscape without judgment. And to know that this too shall pass. It might take years, but change arrives and is arriving all the time. So thank you so much for joining me for this episode 25. I don't have my oracle cards today, but if I were to leave you with a message, I'll ask Spirit what message Spirit would like to leave for us today. The word that keeps coming up is mindfulness. Resting in mindfulness. And that mindfulness for me, another word for that is presence. Be in presence with what is. So there you go. That's the oracle reading for today. Mindful presence. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you tomorrow. Be well, my loves. Take good care of yourselves.